Well, welcome to the next edition of the Chair Talks podcast. I'm Troy Apfalter. I host this podcast, and today we are joined with two folks from the Pre-Collegiate TRIO world. So first up, we have Amy Galarowicz, who is the director of the TRIO Upward Bound and Upward Bound Math Science program on campus. Hello, Amy. Welcome to the show.
Hi there.
And then we have Kirsten Walker, who, so for the longest time, folks kept talking about Kirk, and I had no idea who Kirk was. Turns out it was Kirsten Walker, who is commonly known as Kirk, the director of the TRIO Talent Search Program. Welcome to the show, Kirsten. Kirk. So we'll just do a little warm-up question, not related to work. And the question is, what is an interesting tidbit about the hometown that you grew up in?
An interesting tidbit. Let's see. I grew up in Cass Lake, Minnesota. Something that is interesting, I graduated with only 25 other graduates back in the day. Something interesting, I guess, would be it's a very big resort, and pretty much everybody in town has access to a lake, works on a lake, or is involved with some sort of lake activity throughout summer, winter, fall, spring.
Well, that's appropriate. Cass Lake, Minnesota has a lake and is of central importance.
I'll say lots of lakes, not just one.
Cass Lakes, perhaps, like Detroit Lake. And Amy, hometown tidbit.
I grew up in Antigo, Wisconsin, which is north central Wisconsin. It's hard to pick just one, Troy, but we are the home of the state soil. So the Antigo silt loam is famous for farming, specifically potato farming. So people can drive up to Antigo and play in the dirt, lots of potato farming. That's my fun fact.
I've missed out on this my whole life. I'll have to check it out at some point if I'm ever in that area. All right, so the TRIO pre-collegiate programs, Upward Bound Math Science, Talent Search. I think a lot of folks know you, but maybe aren't super familiar with what you all do on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to start with you, Amy. Maybe just walk us through a typical workday for you, for your staff. What are you up to?
Well, right now we are recruiting new students for the upcoming school year. So we serve a total of 138 students between both programs, and we cover 11 area high schools. So between my staff, we are out in the schools typically Monday through Thursday, meeting with our students. They meet with us every week. And yeah, we are talking about college topics, college applications. We have them on campus once a month. So actually this Saturday, we're going to be down at Bentleyville unloading the trucks as a community service project. So we have a really spirited connection with most of our students because they're coming in to see us multiple times a week sometimes. And we call it intrusive advising. So we know a lot about their personal lives and try to get them to make good choices and go to college.
I know it's similar, but walk us through a day of a talent search staff.
So TRIO Talent Search, we are in 4 different school districts, 6 different schools. So we are a little different, serving as young as 6th grade all the way through 12th grade. So we have a middle school component with our program. Our advisors spend their days out at the schools, meeting with students in small groups. So students meet with us 1 to 2 times a month in a small group setting with their peers. We do a lot of career, college, prep. We talk about academic planning, study skills, many of those tasks and those skills that you need to navigate middle and high school successfully, and then on to any post-secondary option that they're looking at. So we explore college options with our students. Everybody from 6th to 12th grade has opportunities to visit college campuses more locally and explore the differences between 2- and 4-year opportunities, public, private. And then we also take students more regionally and even out of state to explore some of the college options for students. So our goal is to get them successfully through middle and high school, and help them navigate what their choices beyond high school graduation.
Let me go back to a fun question. I'm just winging it. I feel like I'm going to go a fun, serious question. So more of a fun question. I see you all are in some new offices. Looks like you have a fresh coat of paint. I know for a long time you were officed, in addition to being out in the local schools, your CSS office was behind Tower Hall in what was affectionately known as the garage, mainly because it was a garage. In grant proposals, I believe you called it the annex of Tower Hall. And so what's it been like, this transition from the garage to your new digs, and where are you? Amy, why don't you catch us up?
Well, it was a temporary move in 2004 to the print shop, the old print shop. Yeah, it was a long time to get us out of the garage. And I think Dory Kempf really played a role in moving us out as in her new role. So that was awesome.
And we have circled all the way back. And my understanding is I believe I am currently in the office that perhaps Amy and Dory did live in for a short period of time, but we are now on the first floor of science. And so we each have like a little kind of wing on there. Not far, we can, have a patio out front there, and not far from a lounge, which has been kind of exciting to be part of the college campus and see some more people on a daily basis.
Nice. I did like the garage. It had that cool, what you might call it, cork board or rubber band board.
We like to call it worm wall.
Worm wall. I mean, it had its quirks. It's a nostalgic place. I'm gonna look back fondly to the various open house events in that space. I didn't have to work in there, so it wasn't as bothered perhaps by not having windows and such. But glad you're in a new spot down on the ground floor of science. We had a chance last week to sit down with the TRIO pre-collegiate folks here and the whole team to do a strategic planning conversation. And you all had some really interesting insights into sort of what's coming at us, because you're working with these students who in the next 1 to 5, 6 years will be college students. So you want to just maybe pick out a thing or two that would be good to know for the rest of us here at Scholastica. What would be good to know about these high school students now, and sort of what to expect going forward?
I think that the students that are coming up they want to make the right decision, and they want information quickly. And if they don't get a response, or if nobody's paying attention to them, they're moving on to the next thing. And I think that's really challenging from the academic side of things, or like the business end of things at the college. Maybe they're not getting that immediate response that they wanted. So really my job is trying to keep them engaged with options and creating options. So we're working hard to, practice patience. People are busy. People are short-staffed in their areas. So just reminding students that you might not get that immediate response that you want, but we're just going to keep track, and we're going to keep trying and make it happen. Kirk, I don't know if yours is different.
No, I think that's exactly right too. Another aspect I think is we're starting to see kids wanting more person-to-person contact, and wanting those connections again, moving away from everything being online, everything virtual. We're seeing our younger students really excited about going out to college campuses and taking part in activities and hands-on and seeing the campus themselves, moving less to wanting to do everything online or the easy way, but we're seeing some real desire for that person-to-person contact again with the younger students, and building those connections in the community.
What do you have to say about ways that we may be able to address some of those affordability concerns of students and say, hey, Scholastica might be a good place? I know you aren't necessarily recruiting for Scholastica, but if you were to make that pitch, like what should Scholastica be thinking about to help students understand the affordability of an institution like a St. Scholastica?
I think what their actual price tag is going to be, and how to understand what scholarship options are available for them, and providing them some scholarship options that are stackable. Oftentimes we have students who receive some scholarships but not aware that they're not stackable, and in their eyes it's they're stacking everything on top of each other and they've got it covered. But in some scenarios that's not always the case. And so education and exposure to the actual costs are a challenge, and something that we continue to try to expose to our kids what that price tag really is.
And I think CSS is doing a better job of, these are your first year scholarships. You know, you might get $2,000 from your high school that you're only going to have for that 1 year. So you might be able to cover your out-of-pocket costs for that first year, but then what do you do beyond that? Because you're not going to have, you know, the Knights of Columbus scholarship from your area high school your second year in school. So you've got to come up with a way to get that extra money. And I think Scholastica is doing a better job of showing students that, yes, your out-of-pocket costs might increase as you go into your second or third year, which that's been refreshing to see, because some students of ours would get to campus, and maybe not just Scholastica, other private institutions too, and then not have enough money to go back their second year because they are missing those local scholarships. So I think just being able to point that out to students it's helpful. It's helpful for the parents too, to know what they're getting into.
Cool. We'll have two fun questions to end. So one, I'm going to preface by talking about myself a little bit more. So back in the day, I was a upper biomass science team leader. Amy actually hired me for the college, and here I am still here. So I remember one summer we went out to Yellowstone, and I took a group of students on a hike up Electric Peak, and left with, I think, 10 students and came back with about 7. So that was interesting. I remember another time we were in the Boundary Waters, a different summer, and went in with 7 or 8 students and me and a guide, and just one other student came out ahead of time to get this student to the hospital because I had brought them on a cliff jumping trip that kind of went sideways. So those are some of my fun stories from the field. But any fun stories from this past summer? Anything exciting happened over their summer program?
Ooh, Troy, I don't know. Trying to think of something that's podcast worthy to tell you. Well, an age-old activity for UB and UBMS during the summer is the slip and slide. And we usually run that down the hill in front of Tower Hall. So I'm sure if people are out in the summer and see that, they might be wondering what this large sheet of plastic is doing, but feel free to come and join us. It's an awesome experience. I think a couple summers ago, Dory was walking past and she hopped on the slip and slide with the kids in her full, dress clothes and all. And they remember that. So that's pretty cool. And then this summer we set up another slip and slide in front of the science building, and they were playing some kind of it feels like softball, where you had to run and do bases and slide from base to base. So super fun. You certainly brought a ton of creativity to our summer program, and we still talk about the activities that you led, Troy. So nobody can top the extreme walking video that you made.
If you say so. Kirk, any fun stories from the past year with your students?
I don't have nearly as many exciting stories where I left kids in locations by any means, but this year was our first this last summer was our first summer that we got to do kind of that big trip in the summer. So we took students to Chicago, flew with them. It's always an adventure getting through security with students, many who have never flown before. So that's always an adventure. What you find, what they didn't understand was a liquid. And then the other piece is just going to Chicago and the L. That part is also, we don't take pictures outside of it when it shows up. We got to get on because it's going to leave. So that's probably my biggest stress of the trip, which seems silly, but getting this whole group of students onto the L before the doors close and the train leaves, and leaving somebody waving on the outside, which has happened, but thankfully a staff member was with that individual who was out there. So
last question here, more of a prediction, and I'm going to poke the bear a little bit because I see Amy Galarowicz's green and gold license plate there, and so she knows where I'm going with this. The Vikings-Packers game is coming up this weekend. Vikings are 3-0. Packers are 2-1. I was reading on LombardiAvenue.com, and they had the 3-0, 2-1, but then through their power rankings, somehow they still put the Packers on top in the division. Not quite sure how that worked, but I just want to put it out. I just want to get a prediction, Amy and Kirk, for this upcoming game this weekend. Who's going to win and what's going to be the score? Amy, let's go to you first.
I think the score is going to be 28-17. Packers win. It's all the way.
My prediction 34. I'll go 34-17 Vikings all the way.
Okay. Well, there you have it. So we will just have to wait and see who comes out on top. And, you know, if we had maybe Steph's scores in the mix here, things would have maybe gotten even a little crazier, bringing up Packers Vikings. But that's all we have for now, folks. So, Amy, thank you for spending some time with us today.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and also to you, Kirk, thanks for sharing some time with us today.
Thanks for the invite, Troy. Really appreciate it.
Cool. Well, fantastic. Everyone, that's a wrap on today's edition of Chair Talks podcast. I have no idea what we're going to do next month, but maybe it'll be you. Keep an eye out, keep posted, and we'll see you soon. Viva! Thanks for